Your live analytics aren't truth. They're a constantly mutating rumor with charts. You pull a number, ETL sneezes, and that number changes before the meeting ends. Then executives ask, which version is right? Spoiler, none, because the state you queried no longer exists. Here's the fix. Fabric Warehouse Snapshots lock a point in time, transactionally consistent, read-only, zero copy. You get one stable version of truth without pausing pipelines or cloning warehouses. In the next minutes, I'll show you why your data is fragile, why read replicas don't save you, and exactly how snapshots give query stability, audit reproducibility, and lower cost. Why your data is fragile, the failure modes. Volatility isn't speed, it's uncertainty. The average user confuses fresh with reliable, then wonders why month-end keeps slipping. Decisions don't need adrenaline, they need reproducibility. If you can't rerun the same query tomorrow and get the same answer for yesterday, you don't have analytics, you have gossip. Let's talk ETL turbulence. Your pipelines run batch windows. Late arriving facts slide in, reprocessing kicks off because someone discovered a data quality hiccup. Meanwhile, analysts are querying. They hit tables mid-write. Half-baked states propagate into dashboards. The thing most people miss is simple. Your warehouse is temporarily a construction site, and you keep giving tours with the scaffolding up. Now schema drift during loads. Adding columns, changing types, recalculating aggregates, completely normal in modern analytics. But if you allow live queries during those shifts, you break reproducibility. Last Tuesday's model trained on a table with decimal 10. Today it's decimal 12 on 4. Tomorrow it's split into 2 tables. You can't retune models when last Tuesday no longer exists. That's not agile, that's amnesia. Read replicas, everyone's comfort blanket. Replicas replicate change, not certainty. They mirror whatever lands, good writes, bad writes, and schema shocks, just distributed faster. Yes, they help throughput. No, they don't give you a consistent point-in-time guarantee. That's like photocopying a messy whiteboard. Now you have more messy whiteboards. Manual exports masquerading as truth. CSV sprawl with no lineage, no RBAC, and zero auditability. A folder named Final2 isn't governance, it's performance art. When audits arrive and ask, prove these numbers match system of record as of close, your screenshots don't count. Provenance collapses on contact. Data science instability is the silent killer. Feature stores expect stable baselines. If the underlying data mutates mid-training or labels drift because ETL reprocessed without a frozen view, your experiments are not experiments, they're accidents with charts. You can't compare models if the ground moves under each run. Cost of chaos. Analysts rerun reports, re-explain variances, and escalate to engineering. People build private caches to protect themselves, which multiplies copies and multiplies risk. Projects stall because executives lose trust. Once trust erodes, every number requires a meeting and a priest. Before we continue, you need to understand the real failure mode. Concurrency without isolation. You're letting write transactions and read queries collide in time. And yes, you bought a read replica to offload traffic, but the replica doesn't invent history. It streams the same moving target. The truth? You need a freeze frame. This is where most people mess up. They try to time their queries between loads. Cute. It's like trying to cross a highway by estimating truck gaps. You might survive, but the method doesn't scale. Or they gate the entire warehouse with maintenance windows. Congratulations, you traded volatility for downtime, and your stakeholders still won't wait. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Stability beats recency for decision-making. Not always, but whenever money, compliance, or accountability is involved, you need the exact same answers tomorrow that you saw today for the same time-stamped reality. That requires isolation semantics, not vibes. Common mistake story. Last week, a team ran a daily sales dashboard at 8:58, right as ETL was loading late orders. The chart dipped, panic ensued, Slack lit up, and by 9:17, the crisis vanished because the rest of the batch landed. The difference between bad day and business as usual was 15 minutes and zero governance. Once you nail this principle, volatility is the disease, isolation is the treatment, everything else clicks. Replicas handle load, snapshots handle truth, CSVs handle personal embarrassment. Enter snapshots. They give you read-only, transactionally consistent point-in-time views with zero copy metadata pointers, so your analysts query a frozen state while ETL does its acrobatics out of sight. No mid-flight surprises, no schema whiplash, no don't refresh right now messages. You stop trusting fragile data and start delivering a stable, auditable version of truth. What Fabric Warehouse Snapshots actually guarantee: certainty, not vibes. Let's define the contract, because feelings won't pass an audit. A Fabric Warehouse Snapshot is read only, point in time, and transactionally consistent. Translation: when you query it, you see a complete, coherent database as of a specific timestamp. No half-written rows, no mid-flight merges, no oops, an index was rebuilding. It's not a copy you babysit, it's a frozen view backed by metadata pointers. The warehouse keeps moving, the snapshot does not. Snapshot isolation is the spine here. Your queries read the most recent committed transaction before the snapshot's timestamp. Not eventually consistent, not give it a few seconds. Committed. If a batch started but hadn't committed by that timestamp, it does not exist in that view. And it will never suddenly appear mid-query. You get a deterministic slice of time that stays stable for the life of that snapshot. Now, the certainty window. You don't need a museum, you need a library with a return policy. Practical teams set retention, so they always have enough history to reproduce key decisions. Daily snapshots for 30 days, plus preserved month-end or quarter-end snapshots you keep longer. Schedule the capture, name them intelligently, month-end 2025-09, and stop negotiating with memory. The catalog tells you which book to pull. You don't hunt the pages on the floor. Zero-copy design is the cost superpower. Most of you hoard CSVs like they're emergency rations, each one a full duplicate. Snapshots aren't that. They're metadata pointers that present a stable read of the existing storage. You aren't cloning terabytes, you're bookmarking an exact moment. That means you pay for governance and performance, not for duplicate bits that will rot in a file share named archive do not delete to. Continuity matters. The best part is you don't keep rebinding clients. Your connection string can stay pointed at the snapshot name while you roll the timestamp forward after ETL validates. Analysts keep working. The view updates to the next consistent state without breaking queries. Think of it like changing the channel's program while the TV remains on the same input. No cable juggling, no everyone reconnect messages. Governance alignment is non-negotiable. Snapshots aren't a side door. They're first-class citizens. Use RBAC so only the right people can create, view, or roll forward them. Apply per-view sensitivity labels, so PII stays labeled in the snapshot, not magically sanitized by denial. Turn on audit logs, so every creation, access, and update writes evidence you can surface in Power BI. Lineage helps you connect the snapshot to the upstream pipelines that produced it, which is how you answer, where did this number come from? Without calling 5 people. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Snapshots are a protocol for operational truth. A handshake between engineering, analytics, and compliance that says, this is the state we all agree on. It's not a toggle you flip randomly. It's the boundary that separates production churn from decision-grade facts. Once you treat snapshots like a protocol, capture, validate, advance, the drama evaporates. And yes, there are limits because reality exists. If your retention is 30 days and legal wants last year's precise day end, either preserve the month-end snapshot or extend retention for that domain. If you mix snapshot tables with live tables in one report, you reintroduce ambiguity. If you let anyone roll snapshots forward before validations pass, you're back to chaos in a nicer outfit. The feature is powerful. Your discipline makes it useful. Let me show you exactly how this pays off. With snapshot semantics, you can run heavy ETL, while analysts keep querying a frozen, consistent state. At month end, you capture once, point finance at the month end snapshot, and rerun the P&L next week for the exact same result. During audits, you query the snapshot from the target date and export evidence with lineage and access logs attached, all without restoring databases, cloning warehouses, or pausing pipelines. The reason this works is embarrassingly simple. Isolation plus immutability beats speed without guarantees. Replicas increase capacity, snapshots increase certainty. Zero copy pointers give the cost advantage. RBAC labels and audit logs give the governance you keep promising but never quite deliver. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Truth is a timestamp you can name, not a vibe you can feel. Now let's lock it in and implement. How to implement snapshots for zero-drama analytics, T-SQL plus pipelines. Let's stop theorizing and wire this properly. The rule. Lock the truth first, then load. Analysts read the frozen view, pipelines churn in the background, no heroics, no Slack warnings, pre-ETL safety pattern. Before your ingestion starts, capture a snapshot. That gives analysts a stable target while the warehouse mutates behind the curtain. In practice, schedule a pre-step in your pipeline that runs a T-SQL command to either create or update today's snapshot. Name it predictably so clients never change connections. Programmatic update. The pattern most people miss is you don't recreate snapshots every time. You roll their timestamp forward after validation. Add a terminal pipeline step after loads, after quality checks, that advances the snapshot to the latest committed state. Clients stay on the same name. The truth moves forward only when you say so. T-SQL examples. Create a named snapshot once, then maintain it. Create a snapshot. Create snapshot. Current read-only for database. Finance warehouse. List snapshots. Select name, snapshot time from Cisco's snapshots where database ID equals DBID, finance warehouse. Roll forward to now, after ETL validation passes. Alter database, finance warehouse. Update snapshot, current read only, with timestamp sysutc data time. Query against the snapshot explicitly. Select, from finance warehouse, add snapshot, current read only. dbo.sales. If your environment exposes time-based selection, you can target a historical moment. Select a man from Finance Warehouse at time Ebutions 2025-09-30-73-59-59Z. dbo.sales. The exact syntax varies by release. The concept doesn't. Explicit point-in-time read, not vibes. And yes, the warehouse keeps accepting writes while you query the frozen view. That's the entire point. Pipeline choreography. Order matters. Snapshot, ingest, transform, validate, roll forward. If validation fails, the snapshot stays put and your reports remain consistent. If validation succeeds, advance the timestamp. You didn't publish partials, you promoted a coherent state. Elegant, predictable, boring in the best way. Month-end schedule. Automate a capture at close and keep it named. Example, month-end 2025-09. Finance models and Power BI datasets parameterize the target so you can switch between current read-only and a specific month-end without rebuilding anything. Auditors ask, show me as of Sep 30. You point the parameter at month-end 2025-09 and rerun. Identical result, that's how adults do numbers. DAX usage for stable reports. In Power BI, bind your semantic model to the snapshot. If your connector supports specifying the snapshot in the connection, set it once. Otherwise, use a parameter to drive a source query that references the snapshot name or timestamp, then push that parameter through a dataset setting or deployment pipeline. Measure logic stays identical, only the source's temporal anchor changes. Audit replay workflow. Someone challenges last Tuesday's KPI. You don't restore anything. You query the Tuesday snapshot, export the exact filter context, and include lineage and access logs. In SQL Select, from Finance Warehouse, add snapshot, daily 2025-10-14. dbo.kpi facts where KPI key at 42. Then package the query, the snapshot metadata, name and timestamp, and the audit log entry that shows when and by whom the snapshot was created. Evidence beats opinion every time. Retention hygiene, daily snapshots for 30 days. Prune non-critical dailies on a schedule. Preserve month-end and quarter-end indefinitely or per policy. Store metadata about each preserved snapshot. Timestamp, pipeline run ID, validation status, schema hash. That index is your library catalog. Without it, you're back to rummaging in boxes. Cost control via zero copy. Remember, snapshots are pointers, not clones. Resist the urge to export CSVs just in case. If someone insists, route exports through DLP policies and sensitivity labels so the inevitable leak is at least controlled, or better expose read-only snapshot access and forbid raw exports entirely. Governance is not a vibe either. Common mistakes to avoid. Do not snapshot after ETL starts, you'll capture a moving target. Do not mix snapshot tables with live tables in the same report unless you enjoy reconciling nonsense. Do not allow pipeline owners to roll snapshots forward before validations pass. And do not forget RBAC and purview labels. Snapshots inherit sensitive data, they don't magically anonymize it. Month-end, pre-ETL, audit replay, these are the same pattern with different timestamps. Freeze, validate, advance. If this feels almost insultingly simple, good. Complexity is where errors hide. Simplicity is where trust lives. One more pragmatic tip. Version your semantic layer against logical names. Current read only for daily work, month-end check for closes, audit on for investigations. Update one parameter to move the entire reporting estate between time anchors. No dataset rebuilds, no broken visuals, no 9 a.m. chaos. The result? Uninterrupted KPIs during loads, reproducible audits in minutes, and storage bills that don't scream. Snapshots handle truth, pipelines handle change. You finally separated the kitchen from the dining room. Try not to serve half-cooked meals again. Scenario 1. Month-end close that doesn't break. Reproducible finance. Finance doesn't want vibes, it wants identical numbers every time you rerun the P&L for a closed period. Closing the books means you freeze reality and stop arguing with it. That's the entire game. If late facts keep sliding in and your totals drift after sign-off, you don't have a close, you have a rolling suggestion. Here's the pattern that actually works. On the last day of the month, at your defined fiscal cutoff, capture a warehouse snapshot and name it like an adult, month-end 2025-09. Finance models point to that snapshot the moment it exists. After that, nothing new for September appears in those views unless you create an explicit documented adjustment through an adjustments process, not a sneaky data load. Mechanically, you've already got the commands from earlier. The moment your validations pass at close, you execute the capture or roll the prepared month-end snapshot to the exact cutoff timestamp. The snapshot becomes the ledger for reporting. Your semantic model either connects directly to the named snapshot or uses a parameter that targets it. The result? This week's P&L, next week's P&L, and next quarter's rerun for audit P&L match. Decimal for decimal, because the source state is frozen. Quick win that pays for itself in one meeting. An executive asks, why does September's margin look lower in the new dashboard? You switch the parameter to month-end 2025-09, hit refresh, and their view aligns with the signed version. Identical totals, identical dimensional breakdowns, identical drill-through results. The conversation shifts from which version to why did we miss a price increase? In other words, you discuss business, not plumbing. Common mistakes in finance land are painfully predictable. Allowing late facts to mutate closed periods is the big one. If the business truly needs a post-close entry, create an October adjustment that reverses into September in the finance system and reflect it as a separate adjustments table joined at query time, still within the month-end snapshot boundary. Second, failing to archive snapshot metadata. Keep a minimal catalog, snapshot name, timestamp, pipeline run ID, validation checksum, and schema hash. When the auditor asks how you know nothing changed, you show the checksum and the lineage, not your memory. And yes, people will try to optimize by pointing some reports at live for freshness. No, if it references a closed period, it hits the month-end snapshot. If it's forecasting or current month provisional analysis, it can read current read only. Separate time anchors by purpose. Adults can handle two truths, the signed past and the evolving present. Just don't mix them in the same visual and pretend it's inside. The payoff is boring by design. Month-end that doesn't break, audits that stop camping in your inbox, and FP&A teams that trust the semantic layer enough to build on it. Stability over recency, especially for close, isn't negotiable. It's how you end math arguments before they start. Scenario 2. Pre-ETL snapshot for query stability during loads. Zero downtime reporting. Now let's fix your daily 9 a.m. chaos. Your pipelines kick off, dashboards wobble, and someone posts, "Don't refresh" in Slack like that's a strategy. You don't need a ceasefire, you need isolation. The pre-ETL snapshot pattern gives you zero downtime reporting while the warehouse mutates in peace. Here's the choreography that actually holds under pressure. Step 1, immediately before your ingestion window starts, capture or roll a snapshot named current read only. That becomes the stable read surface for analysts during the entire load. Step 2, run your ingest and transforms. Break things, fix things privately. Step 3, validate. Row counts, reconciliation checks, schema expectations. If everything passes, step 4, roll forward current read only to the new timestamp. Clients keep the same connection string. Their world flips to the new consistent state without a reconnect, without a tab closing festival, without the which cluster am I on scavenger hunt. In a pipeline, it looks like this. Snapshot, ingest, transform, validate, alter database, update snapshot timestamp. If validation fails, you stop. The snapshot stays at yesterday's good state, and the business keeps querying a coherent world. No partials, no why is yesterday smaller than 2 days ago? Because you didn't publish half a batch and call it progress. What changes for analysts? Nothing noticeable, which is the point. KPIs stay green. Visuals don't flicker. Model refreshes don't crash into schema changes mid-flight. The only visible change is that your reports stop gaslighting people. If a dashboard must refresh at 8:30, it pulls from yesterday's consistent snapshot. If it refreshes at 10:30 after validation, it pulls from today's consistent snapshot. Both are valid realities. Neither is a half-built bridge. Let me save you from 2 traps. First, rolling the snapshot forward before validations. That's how you ship anomalies as facts. Validate first, then promote the truth. Second, rebinding models instead of updating the snapshot timestamp. Don't make users chase a new connection. Keep current read only as the stable name. Move the time anchor under the hood. Your semantic model stays untouched, your governance stays boring. If you need a sanity check, add a tiny fact table that stores the snapshot's effective timestamp and expose it as a measure in Power BI. When someone claims, "These numbers changed during my meeting," you point at the timestamp measure. It didn't move. Their meeting just felt long. Cost-wise, this beats every clone the warehouse workaround you've tried. Snapshots are zero copy. You're not doubling storage. You're pinning time. And you're not throttling ETL to appease panicked refreshes. Compute works when it should. Reports refresh when they should. No more scheduling gymnastics to hit imaginary quiet windows. The result is the same theme with a daily rhythm. Freeze, validate, advance. You separate the kitchen from the dining room, serve fully cooked data, and stop warning customers not to taste the soup during seasoning. Query stability during loads isn't a miracle. It's a timestamp with discipline. Scenario 3. Audit replay without restores. Provenance on demand. Auditors don't want your best recollection. They want the exact state as of a timestamp. Approximations fail control testing. Snapshots make audit replay boring, in a good way. Workflow, clean and repeatable. You target the snapshot from the audit date, run the query, and package evidence with lineage. The core is explicit time anchoring. Example. Select from Finance Warehouse, add snapshot, daily 2025 10-14. The ledger where account key equals 410. Pair that result with the snapshot's metadata, name, timestamp, pipeline run ID, and validation status, and your purview audit logs showing who created and accessed it. That's provenance on demand, numbers, lineage, and access proof in one bundle. No restores, no downtime, no please wait while it spins up a clone. 2 guardrails. Don't mix snapshot data with current warehouse tables in the same report. That muddies the temporal context. And run DLP on any exported evidence so sensitive data doesn't take an unplanned field trip. Quick win, a 10-minute evidence pack that reconciles to the cent, ties to the lineage graph, and closes the ticket without a war room. Evidence beats opinion, every time. The read replica myth versus snapshot reality. Replicas mirror volatility. They copy writes, good, bad, and malformed at scale. Throughput improves, certainty does not. The truth? A replica of a moving target is still a moving target, just elsewhere. Snapshots freeze time, transactionally consistent, read-only, reproducible. They don't chase writes, they memorialize a state. Use replicas to balance load, use snapshots to guarantee trust. Common confusion. My replica will protect reporting during ETL. No, it faithfully streams the same mid-flight changes. Your dashboard still catches half batches. Snapshot isolation avoids that by presenting only committed data as of a timestamp, and it never morphs mid-query. When to choose. Replicas for concurrency and read scale. Snapshots for governance, audits, month-end, and stable analytics. Combine them if you enjoy performance and certainty. Read scale on a snapshot-backed surface. The reason this works is simple. Isolation semantics plus zero copy pointers beat eventual anything. Governance, security, and cost control. Purview plus zero copy. This is where adults run the data estate. RBAC first, restrict who can create, view, or roll forward snapshots. Not everyone gets scissors. Give data engineers the create advance rights, give analysts read, and keep finance's month-end snapshot read only for their group. One reckless advance at the wrong moment and you're back to chaos. So don't grant the button to the average user. Sensitivity labels next. Snapshots inherit sensitive data. Apply purview labels so PII stays classified at rest and in motion. If a table is confidential in the warehouse, it's confidential in the snapshot. You don't get absolution by freezing it. Pair that with DLP so exported evidence doesn't escape via someone's desktop heroics. Governance isn't a sticker, it's enforced behavior. Audit and lineage are your proof. Turn on detailed logs for snapshot creation, access, and updates, then surface them in a Power BI compliance dashboard. Now, when someone asks who touched the month-end ledger, you answer with a timestamped event, not folklore. Lineage ties the snapshot to upstream pipelines and validations, which is how you trace discrepancies in minutes instead of calendar weeks. Retention policy is your exposure control. Daily snapshots for 30 days, then prune. Preserve month-end and quarter-end per policy. Keep a slim catalog, name, timestamp, pipeline run ID, validation checksum, schema hash. That's your chain of custody. Without it, you're back to trust me, bro, which auditors love about as much as surprise karaoke. And cost, zero copy means you stop paying for duplicate bits. Snapshots are metadata pointers, not terabyte clones. Compare that to CSV sprawl, full duplicates with no governance that quietly inflates storage and incident risk. You centralize access, reduce exports, and keep storage sane, while ops stays fast. Performance is nice. Predictable cost under control is nicer. The only version of truth is the one you freeze. Key takeaway. Stability beats recency. Snapshots give transactionally consistent, auditable analytics that don't wobble during loads or wilt under audit. Adopt the pre-ETL snapshot pattern this week, schedule month-end captures with a real catalog, and wire audit replay so evidence is a 10-minute task. If you want the T-SQL and DAX pack I showed, plus the retention and rollback checklist, subscribe now and watch the next video. Proceed.